What draws you to Eclipse? Why want to be putting money and expertise on the line now?
Absolutely. Caroline, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. It's great to be here. So, when I decided to leave Rivian last year, the first thing I had to do was just reset and do some self-reflection on my Rivian journey. I joined the company back in 2015. At that time, there were just a few of us. There was no technology, there was no product, there was no brand, obviously, no suppliers, no investors, no manufacturing. It was really a clean sheet. And to take that company from that stage to 8 years later, launching 3 vehicles in a span of 9 months, delivering 50,000 vehicles to our customers over a first full year of production, doing an IPO along the way. The insight that I really had was, how much I enjoyed building the business, but more importantly, the learnings and the experience that I had was so unique. Taking the company from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100, and I wanted to make sure that whatever I do next, it leverages that experience, and I wanted to stay in the startup ecosystem and help build companies. So when I understood that the job description is to help founders, I knew I was in the right zip code. And
well, I mean, Rivian is so far now away from when I first came across you and got to know RJ. It was just a couple of dozen people in a shed, for want of a better expression. Yeah. But something's missing, though, right? That a lot of the problems in the EV industry, infrastructure as well, is that the technology is not there in one or another area. Are you confident that you can help Eclipse find whatever that innovation is? How are you going to do it?
Yeah, absolutely. Take a step back. Businesses typically have operated in these long waves of innovation cycles. And these innovation cycles tend to disrupt specific markets and specific sectors that create outsized value. The last wave of the software and the internet, changed the ways how we leverage data, how we connected with each other, and created massive software businesses. But if you look at the current wave, which is led by AI, we're in the early stages of this wave. The biggest, the deepest, and the broadest impact this is going to have is on the physical industries. And it's not difficult to imagine when you insert technology and AI in these physical industries, you can have massive impact on costs, right, on safety, new products. And it seems all intuitive now, but Eclipse had this thesis 10 years back.
Well, just very quickly, we know the Eclipse thesis. We've had some of the partners on the show. Rivian is having a hard time at the moment. They cut jobs. Yeah. They're a lot riding on the R2. What are the lessons that you learned, even if they were mistakes that Rivian made, that you can help the next startup avoid?
Absolutely. There are lots of lessons, but the few that are top of my mind. Number one, embrace complexity. Make complexity your friend. That's the only way to create long-term differentiation. The second one I would say is have that intense focus, especially in the early years. Really answer that question, why does the world need another company in that segment? And even as you progress and you get money, I think it is important to retain that focus. Most startups don't fail because of starvation. They fail because of indigestion. It's important to say no to things. And I would say, finally, just take big risks. You're going to go up against big incumbents and change the ways businesses have operated for a long time. You just have to make sure you have that instinct and take big risks.
Big risks that you take in Silicon Valley, that you look globally for opportunities. Where is your focus going to be, Jiten, for this sort of disruption?
Yeah, our focus at Eclipse is in the US and North America. We're looking for founders who are looking to disrupt these massive industries, these massive sectors. And of course, they'll find applicability globally. But we are very much keen on building the infrastructure, the capabilities, the technologies here in the US.